Good morning, Greytons. Welcome to our business studies class. We are still looking at your socio-economic issues, and we're looking at part 3. We covered poverty. We have covered majority of the stuff. Today we'll start from piracy. No, actually yesterday we did cover piracy and gambling basically. Today we'll be looking at the other factors or other types of your socio-economics. For those who are just joining us, welcome to our 17th lesson for the month of July. My name is Hector S. Nkosi. All right, grade 10s. So now, boys and girls, for what we did yesterday, we finished up until piracy yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, right? We covered piracy. I explained to you all the meanings and the terms when it comes to piracy, right? Just to touch base, basically, piracy is when you're copying someone's work illegally. It can be not work. Yeah, it can be work because they put so much effort to do that, right? We're speaking about DVDs, CDs, basically, when you copy them illegally through USB or you download them in terms of buying. You know, you can buy online or you can get yourself an actual CD or DVD. Right. Today, I want us to, we looked at the impact of piracy on the businesses, basically. But yesterday, we just finished on the solutions to piracy. How can we mitigate or avoid piracy, isn't it? So let me just do a touch base on the impact of piracy on a business. We know that, boys and girls, that consumers no longer value the worth and quality of genuine products sold by businesses, right? So it is very important for us to know what we're dealing with, right? We know that the business's image and reputation can be damaged by inferior counterfeits goods, right? Meaning that the goods that are not in good condition and the business producing the original goods have their profits reduced if piracy occurs, right? Piracy also deprives the original artist of his or her income, basically, right? So that's what the impact is about, boys and girls. Also, pirated copies contribute to the problem for the business, right? So it is very important, right, to know those on what does affect your piracy. All right. Also, boys and girls, when it comes to piracy, the copyright. So how can we mitigate or avoid piracy? You must have a copyright, guys. Some people do piracy on books. Someone can publish your book or can make copies to extend whatever thing that is contained in your book. So you must always have a copyright. Copyright, in other words, it limits other people not to have your copy of your particular thing. It can be a book, DVD, or CD. So the owner of your intellectual property has the right to produce and copy the intellectual property. It includes literacy or musical works or artist works, right? Even pictures and paints, they also have copyrights. Now, let's look at a patent. A patent basically, we can also use a patent to mitigate piracy or as one of the solution of piracy. So we know that it excludes rights to make use of or sell interventions of a product made an innovated process for a limited period of time. So that's what we speak about a patent. A patent, basically, it is an invention. Someone who holds a patent has the sole right to produce and sell in invention, right? Or a discovery or scientific method or literary, etc., right? Now, trademarks. Other businesses, they use trademarks to avoid piracy, basically, right? So how can we use trademarks, or how can trademarks can be seen as something that is being pirated or not, right? We know that sometimes, guys, registrations of the use of a brand name, slogan, symbol, or combination to make a product or service recognizable and known. So for instance, boys and girls, we as a STEAM digital school, we've got our own trademark, right? Meaning that someone else, other school cannot steal our lecture slides and use them to teach because of their trademark. Like for example, I just want to show you our trademark as a STEAM digital school, right? Now, I just want to show you. Right. If you look, this basically, this will act as a trademark. Only STEAM Digital School can use this information, right? So now if we see another school that is an online school or it's also a digital school and they've got this logo, and which means they use their slides basically, right? Those people, we can see people who are using our content, therefore because of this trademark. So this is our trademark, right? So not other school can use these slides because of our trademark. So this is the only thing that shows us that, okay, this information belongs to us. All right. So that's what we mean by your trademark, right? Also, a unique mark. So it is a unique mark that represents a business enterprise, right? So it is a unique mark that represents the business enterprise. And remember, we said that is a brand's name, slogan, or symbol, or a combination. Does it make sense? It includes words, slogans, and signs. As you saw, that logo has the name of the school and it has the sign and the slogan, right? If I were to go back again to show you what I was talking about, here's the name. So we've got Africa Teen Geek STEAM Digital School. So I see a logo, I see the name. Does it make sense? And the picture of the school, basically. So by now you understand what a trademark is or what does trademark looks like. All right. Now let's look at the seventh type of socioeconomic, right? Now, boys and girls, let's look at your counterfeiting. Right. With your counterfeiting now, boys and girls, sorry. All right, I need a different color. This one, it's a bit light. Let me use green as usual. All right. Now, with your counterfeiting, boys and girls, you must know that a counterfeit goods are copies or imitations of genuine goods, such as clothing, shoes that are marked with a fake logo or trademark, right? Now, this one you should know it, boys and girls, because I know majority of you are youngsters, you love fashion and stuff like that. So you can tell if something, it's not that. I know some of you are wearing your Nike, your Gucci, you name them, your Reebok, Superga, whatever. You just name all these brands that you're wearing, right? So sometimes we know that your counterfeiting, we know that these are your copies or imitations of genuine goods, such as clothing. So it's for genuine goods, such as clothing or shoes that are marked. So they are being marked with what? With a fake logo or trademark. Does it make sense? We know that this will affect businesses. It will be one of your socioeconomic issues, your counterfeiting. Does it make sense? There are products that are imitated or pegged to resemble the original, high priced goods, basically, right? Right. So sometimes, guys, you see that, you know what, someone is wearing, let's say, a Gucci, and we can tell that this is not the real Gucci that we know because of the fake logo. Some people, they're wearing a Nike techie, and we can tell that this is not the original Nike techie. Does it make sense? Some people, they wear All Stars, but you can tell that these are not real All Stars, basically, right? So we regard those things as counterfeiting, basically. Now let's look, how does your counterfeiting affects the business? Guys, we need to know that basically we know that counterfeiting, it will definitely affect your businesses. How? Because now if people, they're not buying originals, meaning that automatically what's going to happen, the people that are selling your actual originals, they won't be benefiting anymore, because now the people who are selling fake goods, they'll sell them at a cheaper price, because I mean, that's a fake. They did not spend so much money on those goods, you know. Now, let's see how does your counterfeiting will affect businesses. We know that counterfeits are often results in the price increase of originals, right? So it will result in a price of increases the original goods, because now if our normal goods, they are no longer buying them anymore, the ones that are existing, we're just going to increase the prices. Consumers are often tempted to buy counterfeits. Very important. We know that buyers, majority of the time, they will be affected, they will be tempted to buy counterfeits. Why? Because their price is considerable, right? They sell their counterfeits at a considerable price, right? Always, guys, your counterfeit goods are less than, the price is always less than your original price goods, right? Also, your counterfeits reduce the sales and profits of the business. Very important. Your counterfeit reduces the sale and profits of the businesses, because now people, they'll go buy counterfeits instead of the original goods. Businesses lose money that could have been used for expansion and the creation of job opportunities, right? So we know that actually the businesses are just going to lose money. Does it make sense? And that money can be used for expansion and job creation. Does it make sense? Now, also, your counterfeits often result in price increase of original goods. So this point is the same as your first point, basically, boys and girls. So it is very, 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 very important for you to understand these things, basically, boys and girls. You have to know these things, guys. As it will help you a lot to understand majority of the stuff, guys. It is very beneficial for you guys to do so, right? Now, let's see the other stuff, right? Let's see the other stuff now. So now, boys and girls, if we look at the other stuff now, okay, just a second. All right. All right, just a second. I'm having technical issues. All right, I'm sorted now, boys and girls. All right, so also your consumers are often tempted to buy counterfeits because of the considerable price difference. This one I've already discussed it. Counterfeits reduce the sales and profit of the business, right? Basically, that's what counterfeits are or is. Does it make sense? So this will be regarded as your socio-economic. Now, let's look at your bootlegging. Now, what is bootlegging? Right. Now, we need to explain this step by step. Your bootlegging, right? Now, boys and girls, when it comes to bootlegging, it is the recording of live broadcast performance without the permission of performers, songwriters, record company, which are copied and sold, right? So that's your bootlegging, right? The recording of live broadcast performance, right? Without the permission of performers. So for instance, here, I'll be bootlegging if I'm saying to myself, let's say I sing someone's song without the permission, right? That's a bootlegging. The example of bootlegging is selling illegal copied DVDs of a latest movie on street corners, right? Also, this can be seen as what? As your bootlegging, right? Criminals go to a great extremes to record movies with handheld devices using a live cinema screening. That's also a bootlegging. You've seen, guys, some of the street corners, especially in towns, people are selling illegal copied DVDs or CDs, basically, or music videos. Basically, that's actually your bootlegging, because now the owner of that thingy does not know that there are things that are being sold there illegally. Right. Now, how will the bootlegging impact on businesses? Very, 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 very simple. We know that business lose out on profit, right? Very important. Business lose out on profit. Businesses may experience decline in sales due to fake or imitation distribution of products, right? So we may experience decline in sale. Does it make sense? Businesses may be forced to implement price adjustment strategy to minimize impact, right? So we may be forced to implement price adjustment strategies, right? Also, businesses' expenses will increase if legal actions are taken, right? So your expenses will increase because of the legal expense, if legal expense are taken. Why? Because you need to pay your lawyers fees and stuff like that, so that they can fight for you and stuff like that. So that will be more cost also. So that's the impact on your business. Now, let's look at the ninth socio-economic issue, of which is strikes. We know, guys, that strikes, guys, they affect a lot on businesses and stuff like that. When people do a go slow, basically, where they don't work for that particular day, weeks, or months. Some of the strikes, they often take 2 months. Some of the strikes, they just take a week, depending on how effective the workers are and how the what you call the employer response from what they are crying for. Now, a strike or labor dispute is a collective refusal of employees to work uh, because an issue in a workplace aimed at forcing the employer to give into demands, right? So remember, we strike because it's either we're not happy with something at a workplace, or it's when we want something from our employer. We're demanding a certain, it can be maybe it's not always about increase. I know majority of the strikes, it's about increase in their salaries, but sometimes the strikes can be, let's say, the employer has um, given the unfair dismissal to one of the employees. Then the other employees or the rest of the employees can use that as your, what you call, as to stand up for other employees, basically, right? So strikes may take a form of a go slow. So it's in a form of a go slow, locks out, and sympathy strikes. It is a dispute between the employer and employee when they cannot agree on wage increase or changes in work conditions, even after negotiations. Does it make sense? That's how we strike, right? Right. Now, let's look at the impact of strikes on a business. How does the strike affect the business? This could make the business to be unable to meet its contractual obligation, and the business losing contracts, right? So your strikes may affect your businesses, right? The cost of making up all the working hours is too high, right? Also, strikes can be violent because strikers intimidate those employees who do not want to go to strike, right? So they can be violent sometimes, where if one of the employees are committed to their work and they don't want to strike, whereas the other employees are on strike. So it can end up causing a violence because they said one is to all, basically, right? then it scares off potential investors. Very important, guys. So now if your employees are striking, I'm telling you, you're going to lose lots and lots of investors in your company, right? Because people, they will not be sure whether they should invest in your company or not, since you're not treating your employees very well. Often, most of companies, they strike a lot due to your wages or salary increment and stuff like that. Your strikes may result in losses of production as employees stay absent from work during strikes. So you might end up losing production, or your work, the work in the company or business won't be effective as before, because you're going to have limited workers basically. Strikes actions may lead to production losses and decline in sales, right? Businesses may be forced to close down operations after strikes, right? Strikes may also lead to unhealthy working relationships between management and workers. Very important, unhealthy relationship between the management and workers, right? Because those people won't be seeing eye to eye. Also, strike may force businesses to retrench some of its skilled workers to recover the losses, right? So that's the reasons of strike. Now, let's look at the 10th socio-economic issue. The 10th socio-economic issue is your political disturbance, right? This is very important point, boys and girls, your political disturbance, and is very, very, very important, right? Now, your meaning of political disturbance, it is a form of protest by a group of people showing their displeasure of lack or service delivery, proper housing or poor pay, poor work conditions, etc. Right? So it is a group of people showing displeasure, right? Political disturbance reflects frustration on the part of communication who may not feel that they have an effective voice in formal political processes. It is when a group of people protest against your socio-economic problem, right? So a group of people uh, um, a group of people protest against a socio-economic problem, right? And feel that the government is not doing enough to solve the issue. So there's a difference between a strike and a political disturbance. A strike has to do with workers, people who are working at a certain company or people who are working for a certain business. But now, let's say now we've got a load shedding problem. We don't call that a strike, but we call it a political disturbance, right? Because now it has to do with government, right? And everyone can do that go slow, and that go slow, it will be called a political disturbance, not a strike. Strike has to do with workers only, whereas your political disturbance has to do with all the workers, including the community itself, where they want to voice out certain things. It can be in the country, it can be in the community, it can be in the province. Like for instance, during e-tolls, we know Gauteng was installing e-tolls around 2014, 2013, and people were doing a political disturbance. So we don't call it a strike, but we call it what? A political disturbance. Also, often, most of the townships, they do what? They do political disturbance due to load shedding, due to water, supply of water. Some people, they do political disturbance due to unemployment, that the government does not allocate so many jobs and stuff like that, right? And now, how will the political disturbance affect your business, or how is the impact of political disturbance on businesses? People in townships or informal settlement areas may block roads, preventing employed people to go to work due to service delivery protests, right? So basically, that's what we look at. We know that uh, 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 um, we're going to block roads, preventing employed people to go to work due to the service of your delivery protests, right? And it scares off potential investors also. Business may be forced to close, especially those located in townships, because it's not safe for them to operate, right? May result in losing production as employees stay absent from working during political disturbance. So remember, if we're doing a political disturbance, majority of the workers will be forced to stay at home because it's not also safe for them to drive or to catch public transport to go to work. Does it make sense? Because of the violence. Many businesses suffer losses as a result of damage to property. Also, you can result in increasing unemployment if your shopkeepers are forced to shut down, basically, right? Then the last one, guys, the last socio-economic issue, it will be crime. Crime is a very important concept as it affects lots and lots of businesses, right? We know that crime is an unlawful and harmful, say, right? Just a second. So we know that crime is any unlawful and harmful act related to a loss of goods in a business due to burglaries or robberies or theft, corruption, or hijackers, right? The theft is the unlawful taking of some else property to make it your own, right? Just need a highlighter. All right. Okay, cool. So very important points, your unlawful and harmful act, isn't it? The loss of goods, right? Your unlawful taking of someone else's property to make it your own, right? Now we need to look at the impact of crime on a business, right? So now the impact of crime on a business, we know that we're going to the loss of staff and customers, insurance, security or costs become expensive, loss of profits due to stolen goods from businesses, business lose skilled people resulting to decline productivity, increased medical expense as workers are injured during the break-ins. Business spent money on installing effective security measures or alarm burglary proofing. The loss of goods in a business can happen as a result of burglaries, shoplifting, customer theft, and employee theft. Cost of damage to property increase as business pay higher insurance premiums to protect themselves. A high rate of absenteeism due to affected employees having to go for trauma counseling. The loss of essential equipment causing a temporary closure. So guys, all of these are impacts of crime and the list is endless. It doesn't mean that you have to know these only, right? So the list is very, very, very endless, right? Thank you so much, boys and girls. Thanks for tuning in from my side. I said, have a lovely afternoon. Please, greatons, feel free to ask any questions should you have any. And thank you so much and goodbye.